welcome back to another video. So this is the long-awaited recovery Q&A, and there's actually quite a story as to how I'm finally making this video. It was kind of like,
I was gonna film it and then my camera died, so I filmed on my phone, and then I didn't have enough space to upload it, and then I went to go film it on my camera again, and then my SD card was out of space, so I had to get rid of stuff, and then...
Long story short, I'm here and I am going to be answering your questions. I asked you guys if you guys had any recovery questions, and I was going to maybe be answering them in an upcoming video, and I got so many, and there's so many that I want to like answer and just make sure you guys get the answers that you asked. So I'm going to be making 2 videos. So this first one is going to be up this week, and then hopefully next week I'll have the other one up. But yeah, I'm just going to go through and answer some of your guys' questions. Some of them kind of repeated themselves, so hopefully if your question wasn't directly answered, you do find some kind of answer throughout the answers that I'm going to be giving. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. First one was, how do you overcome your fear foods? So I got this one quite a lot from you guys, and I would say for those of you that don't know what a fear food is, in the recovery community, a fear food is deemed as something that one feels guilty around and one feels they cannot have. So it's kind of like, you might feel guilty if you have a slice of cake, so then you develop this idea that you can't have cake, and if you have cake you're a bad person, and then thus generates this idea of a fear food. And in regard to my recovery, what really helped me overcome fear foods is normalizing them. So not treating them as if they're this big thing that you're going to be challenging yourself to, but again, eating normally throughout the day. So not restricting, even if you say, oh, I'm having a fear food later, so I need to be able to like afford it, or you are scared of the fear food, so you unintentionally restrict throughout the day. The idea is to not do that. So eat normally throughout the day, eat a hearty breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and some snacks. And on top of that, have your fear food, because what you need to drill into your mind is that your fear food isn't something that needs to be afforded, but is just to be treated like every other food that you eat. That it doesn't matter what you ate before, what you eat after, you're still going to be able to enjoy it in the moment. So normalizing it that way really helped me, in addition to eating with other people. So if, let's say, a fear food for me was ice cream for a while, and I knew my friends were going out to get ice cream, I would go with them, and it would be easier to have that in the moment because I'm, 1, not doing it alone, and 2, I'm making memories over worrying about the food. So it helps combat the maybe fear that might come up if I'm challenging myself to a fear food. But those are kind of like basic things that really helped me. I would say no matter what, it does take repetition to overcome a fear food. You're not gonna have 1 slice of cake and then be like, okay, I no longer fear cake. It's going to be different because, again, food is only the symptom. So maybe another situation comes up where you have cake again and it feels scarier because the situation is different. And that's why repetition is so important, to help make sure that you cover all those bases in having your fear food in different situations, so that it's not as intimidating, if that makes any sense. So yeah. Did you experience any digestive issues in recovery, and how did you cope? I actually, it's funny because this has been something that's been really important to me, is digestion in general. I will say that in recovery I did experience really bad digestion, but again, what you have to consider when you're in recovery is that your body is responding to a prolonged period of restriction. So when you're fueling it again, it's like, oh my god, like all this food, it might have forgotten how to process all of it. And plus, when you're in that prolonged period of restriction, your body is smart and it's trying to conserve as much energy as possible in order to preserve that energy to help sustain your other vital systems, like pumping blood to your heart and getting blood to your brain so you can function. And the digestive system, sadly, is not that important. Will slow down in response to restriction. So that's kind of why you might experience digestive problems in recovery, and it does take your body a little bit of time to catch up to you increasing your intake and eating more and fueling your body appropriately. So what I would say in dealing with this is to just show yourself some compassion and show your body love, because you need to understand where it's coming from and why it's acting the way it is. It's not out to get you, and it's not doing this to punish you for restricting. It will even out in time. And what helped me throughout the process, in addition to eating more, was taking a probiotic supplement. I'll leave a link to the one I take down below. And I've also recently been taking a magnesium supplement, which has helped me sleep, has helped me calm down at night and decrease my anxiety. In addition to, I have noticed more regular bowel movements in the morning. So I have more like a routine now. So definitely looking into taking a magnesium supplement as well is important. And I'll leave a link to the one I take down below as well. But I personally use the one that I got at Whole Foods. It's just like one of the calm ones. But yeah, you can probably find magnesium at any grocery store. But I also just want to say I'm sharing what worked for me. If you have any other like more serious possible digestive conditions, I suggest going to a doctor and getting that checked out, because these are more just things to help you along the process. They aren't like something that will be a long-term fix, if that makes sense, if you have a serious issue going on. But yeah, I also feel like this question ties into bloating a lot, because when I was experiencing bad digestion, I was also experiencing a lot of bloating, and I know I got a lot of questions on bloating as well. So I would say what helped me with bloating was like physically taking hot baths, in addition to maybe having a heat pad, can help relieve a little bit of the discomfort. I found also distraction is really helpful, and I'm going to say distraction a lot because I think it helps with a lot of things that might come up in recovery. But distraction really helped me in not really paying attention to how my stomach felt, but more on something else. Like if I was working on a puzzle, or if I was watching a movie with my family, or if I was doing something to keep my brain occupied other than going directly towards, oh my gosh, I feel so bloated. But yeah, those are definitely things that helped me. Also wearing, I've said this in another video, but also wearing comfy clothes and like lounge kind of clothes. Not really any tight-fitting crop tops or jeans, because I feel like during this kind of phase, that's really not gonna help you. If anything, I notice sometimes it may make you feel more like inferior and like less motivated to do recovery, because wearing a lot of those tight clothes when your body is bound to change in recovery is very like counterintuitive. I don't know, but yeah. How do you curb exercise urges when alone? I think one of the best tips I have here is just in general, when you have the urge to exercise, is to talk to someone. If you know you're not in a situation where you can be exercising right now, you should talk to someone and have someone help to hold you accountable. So like if you have a friend on Instagram that you are going through recovery with, or if you have a trusted adult in your household, just ask them if, hey, maybe you can help me. This is what I'm doing. I am working on not exercising, and I know that this is going to bring about a lot of anxiety when I don't exercise. So can I come to you when I have these urges, or can you help me or point me in the right direction when it looks like I'm going astray, or something like that. I did this a lot with my mom. Especially when I was in a place where I could not be exercising, I would rely on her to an extent, and whenever I had an urge or whenever I was feeling like I had to get up and move, I went to her and she was able to help me like talk through it. And by the time I was finished talking with her, I felt a little bit better about not exercising, because it didn't feel as much of a big deal for me anymore. I will say that Tabitha Farrar, she's a eating disorder recovery coach that has a bunch of videos here on YouTube. She makes some great videos in regard to dealing with exercise and recovery, and I will be sure to leave her channel link down below. But also she has a book, and I will leave a link to that as well, because I read that book and it was really good, and it really helped me gain a greater sense of like perspective and outlook on my recovery in a way that I think really helps me stay motivated, and just to have a greater idea as to how I'm moving about my own recovery. I would also say in regard to exercise that if you're having the urge to exercise because you just ate something or something else, I would say the power of repeating yourself affirmations can really help. I know for me, whenever I felt the urge to exercise, if it was any way related to food, I would tell myself that no matter what, I'm worthy. It doesn't matter what I ate, it doesn't matter what I did, I'm still worthy regardless. My worth has not changed, and it never will change because of my physical body. And also telling yourself that people don't value you because of your appearance. Something really important to ask yourself is, will your relationships benefit in any way if you lose 10 pounds, or if you lose 5 pounds, or if you stay super skinny in this restriction cycle? The answer is probably no. If it is a yes, then you probably might want to reevaluate your friends. But I would say people don't value you based on your appearance. They value you based on your personality, based on the feeling they get when they hang out with you. And it has nothing to do with how you look. So if you're exercising because you have an underlying fear that you need to look a certain way in order to be liked by people, the answer is no. The people you would attract by your appearance might not be really worth keeping, because they won't end up valuing you for who you really are. So I think that's also just something important to keep in mind. Do you think professional help is necessary for recovery? Yes and no. I think it honestly depends on the person and where they are in their recovery. If you're in a really good place in your recovery and you feel like you really don't need that support anymore, I'm not the person to tell you that you have to stay with a therapist and a dietitian for the rest of your life. I don't think you need to be seeing them forever. For me, it's kind of like they're there for a purpose, and then when that purpose is fulfilled, I don't need to hold on to them anymore. But I also know people that thrive off of seeing dietitians and therapists in their recovery, and I also know people that are doing just fine without those. And it honestly, again, depends on the person and what state they are in mentally in regard to seeking help. I always think it's important to seek help in some way, shape, or form. I'm not always saying, though, that professional help is the best for people. But again, I would say if you're in recovery, in the new stages of recovery, if you can afford to seek professional help, I highly would recommend it, because just to try it out, see if you like it, see if it's something you can see yourself doing. And it really helped me, at least, in feeling more confident in approaching my recovery and just feeling like I was on the right path and I had the support I needed just to get going. So yeah. Did you experience a relapse in recovery, and how did you overcome it? So I've experienced quite a couple relapses in my recovery, but every time I overcame it, it was always through just talking to someone. I think the first step is to tell people, and to tell someone you trust what's going on, and being vulnerable in that sense, because once you acknowledge there's a situation or that you've gone backwards, it makes going forwards so much easier. Not saying it's the easiest, but it makes it a lot more approachable. So I would say there's not really that much, it's not really a whole complex thing to overcome a relapse. I think it's more just acknowledging that you've gone backwards and then saying, okay, now what are the steps I need to move forward? How did you deal with feeling like you lost control? For me, this is when having faith and believing in a higher power really helped me. I'm not saying I'm super religious, because I'm not super religious, but if you have just some awareness of a greater entity or a greater energy, whether you call it God or the universe or Mother Nature or like source, it's letting go of the baggage that you're carrying and giving it up to that higher power. So me, when I'm thrown into a situation that I feel like I have no control over, I just try and tell myself that I trust that everything happens for a reason and all of this will sort itself out, that the universe is not out to get me and that I'm going to be okay. Something that also helped me when I am feeling out of control is to just start narrating my life. So if I'm really anxious about a meal, or if I don't know what to do because I feel really bad for what I just ate or something like that, I'll be like, okay, I'm sitting on the couch, I am watching a movie, and it's dark outside, it's raining. Very mundane descriptions. It's supposed to reroute your mind and your consciousness and attention towards the present moment rather than being stuck in your head. So another question was, again, how do you deal with not being able to exercise in recovery? And again, I had also made a whole other video on this. It's in my dealing with weight gain and exercise and no exercise video, and I'll leave a link to it in the description box. But basically for me what helped a lot was just distraction and affirmations. So repeating positive affirmations to yourself about your value exceeding beyond your physical body is very important, and also distracting yourself. So again, doing puzzles, watching movies, journaling. I recently have taken up journaling and it's amazing. Like, I totally suggest you do it. I've seen a couple people do like guided journaling things on YouTube, so I'm looking into maybe doing one of those. But let me know if any of you guys would be interested in one of those, because it honestly kind of seems fun to do, but I don't know. But yeah, journaling, reading a book. I also like wouldn't mind starting a book club too, because I've been reading so much lately and it's just been great, and I'd love to share all that I'm reading because I don't know, I hope you guys would like it too. But yeah, something that is important is having someone again to hold you accountable. That's how I kind of manage not exercising in recovery. Do you think yoga during recovery is good? Yes and no. Again, I think it is entirely dependent on the person and their stage in recovery. I think restorative yoga for someone in recovery is good. However, if you do like Bikram yoga or hot yoga, I would say no, as it can be a little too intense depending on the stage you're in recovery. And if you're solely doing it to sweat, I would say then you should be reevaluating why you're exercising in the first place. How did you start recovery? I talked to someone. I say this a lot. I got tired of listening to the voice in my head that said I wasn't enough and that I couldn't eat something. I was seeing so many people enjoying life free from food, and just I wanted that life. I wanted to be able to eventually attain that point where I could just have food and eat it to live, not live to eat it. And yeah, that's how I started. I saw the life I wanted to live, and I knew that I needed to take changes in order to manifest that. And it was hard. I'm not going to say it was easy, but it all starts with admitting and acknowledging what's in front of you, and also talking to someone and seeking help. So how do you still eat when you're uncomfortable in your own skin? I would say I was actually talking with my therapist the other day about this, and I created a kind of cool analogy, if I do say so myself. But basically what it is let's say you had the flu or you were sick and you had to take medicine, but you didn't like the medicine because it tasted gross and disgusting and made you feel nauseous. But you'd still take it, right? Because you need to take that medicine in order to get better. It's the same thing with recovery and food. The food in this case is the prescription and the nutrition you need and the medicine you need to get better. And yes, eating the food and the amount you need to eat is going to make you feel uncomfortable. You might feel bloated, you might feel gross, you might not even want to eat because it just feels like too much, but you want to get better. So you have to do it no matter what. And that's what I always remind myself when I get into those situations. And also telling myself that I'm worthy always, no matter what I eat, is very important. And also to remember what your goals are. So remember why you're recovering in the first place. You're not just recovering to get your period back. You're not just recovering to keep your hair from falling out or to stop obsessing over food. You're wanting to recover to live again, to have fun, to make memories that don't always have to revolve around food, to be creative, to create the life you want. And there's just so many other mini reasons for you to recover, and remembering those can really help you push yourself to eat when you feel uncomfortable. How long did extreme hunger last? I think this is different for everyone. Again, I also made a different video on telling the difference between extreme hunger and binging, and I will leave a link to that down below and probably put a thing up here for it. But I would say extreme hunger, again, is different for every person. I know people that experience extreme hunger their entire recovery, people that haven't experienced it at all, and people like me who have extreme hunger, but it comes in waves. Like, I think the last time I had extreme hunger was probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But now it's kind of just not really there. It's kind of subsided, but basically you have to understand that extreme hunger is your body's response again to a prolonged period of starvation. And what's going to happen is your body is like, oh my gosh, you're feeding me again, I need to eat as much food as I can because I don't know when I'm going to get fed again. So that's the reason extreme hunger is there. And it's eventually going to subside as you nourish your body when it brings up mental or physical hunger. Because once your body trusts you and feels like, okay, I can trust that I'm gonna get food, then it can back off on the extreme hunger. But you have to realize that it's only giving the extreme hunger signal because it doesn't trust you yet necessarily, and it's not doing it to get out because it's out to get you. It's trying to protect you. So again, having compassion for that and practicing no judgment towards it whatsoever is very important. And the only way out of extreme hunger is just to honor it. So don't be scared to honor it. Just, I'm here telling you that you're going to be okay, and that honoring it is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, and you are not binging. What are your favorite fear foods you have conquered? I would say one of my favorite fear foods to have conquered was nut butters. I love peanut butter. I put peanut butter with everything. Well, not everything, but I have nut butters almost every single day, like 3 times a day, probably more. But I'm so grateful to have overcome that fear of fats in general, because I eat them all the time. I love them. They're so good. They make every dish so creamy and delicious and satisfying. And yeah, I'm really grateful for overcoming that. In addition to sweets, I have a very big sweet tooth, and I love them. I love that I can enjoy them when I want. There's no certain time of day that I can't have them. Just grateful for overcoming that. So those are, I would say, some of my favorite fear foods that I conquered. What would you say to someone who wants to heal? I would say that it's never too late to choose recovery, and it's never too late to start recovery. It's so important to understand that people on this planet want to support you, and that we need you on here. Whether you don't think you're gonna make a big impact, or whether you really have high ambitions but are too scared to do them, you are needed on this planet. Like, someone in this world needs you right now, and you might not know it yet, they might not know it yet, but somewhere down the line they're gonna cross paths with you, and they're gonna be like, wow, I needed you. And you need to be here for them. You need to be here for you. And you deserve to live that life filled with love and abundance, and not feeling like food is the center of your world, because you're the center of your world, not food. So definitely reminding yourself that you are deserving of recovery, and that you can heal. It's not too late. It's never too late to start recovery. I don't care if you've been struggling for 10 years and you feel like it's this endless cycle. Like, you have the power to fully recover. I believe full recovery is attainable. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. So that's going to conclude this video. I hope you guys liked it. Be sure to stay tuned for part 2, which I will be having out possibly next week. I'm gonna try maybe the same week. I don't know, it just depends on if I get to it. But yeah, I have some exciting videos I might want to film, or I'm gonna try and film for you guys. So let's hope they all work out. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. If you have any other video ideas or questions you want me to answer, just leave a comment in the comments below. But other than that, know that I'm sending so much love and positive vibes to you all, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.